When I arrived in Portland, I was pretty excited, and I was just saying to Mr. Cohen that the excitement was, coming back home after 35 years and contributing the skill set that I've learned over those three and a half decades to really improve the City of Portland's educational program. When I came in, one of the things that was so apparent was we had an incredible school committee, a very strong school committee. People like Chair Peter Eglinton, who really understood that the system needed to change. We also had leadership in the MEA president, the PAA president, the support staff president, union leaders who understood change was needed and have been supportive. But we had just experienced an incredible lack of fiscal discipline. 2007 was a deficit year, by the way. 2009-10 will be a surplus year. It'll be the first surplus the school system has experienced in 3 years. So that's, thank you. But that took a lot of putting structures in place and, quite honestly, saying, no, we're not doing that. So we really did have a strong resolve from the school committee that helped me through my first year be able to say that and make the tough decisions. We also had a loss of credibility. As you all know, if you lose your financial house, then people doubt whether you're doing other things well. And so we had to deal with that issue. Anybody who's a parent, how many parents in this room? Just raise your hand. How many grandparents in this room? And how many of you have visited Portland elementary schools and said, wow, I can't believe this building is in this shape? We have over $60 million worth of unmet facility needs in the City of Portland. Deferred maintenance, it's called in the jargon. We deferred maintenance for 2 generations in the City of Portland. If I just use a quick example, the Hall School that has so many beautiful pieces of art that make it look so attractive, there are places where you can reach through the outer wall into the inner wall because the decay is that bad. We have had significant challenges. We had a dated vision, no central office accountability, a lack of what's good for the whole system, the system's thinking. And despite all these challenges, and many more that I don't have time to share with you, the question that I kept on asking the administrative staff is, can Portland public school systems be a model for the state, for the region, and for the country? When you looked at what happened in 2007, and you look at the decentralization of decision-making and the lack of accountability, it's very possible that the Portland public school systems could have been heading down a much different path, the path of an inner-city school like Detroit, where the school system really was falling apart. Well, Portland is much better than that, and we have great assets. And so what we needed to do is reestablish our credibility, and some of the people in this room, along with over 100 other citizens of the City of Portland, joined the school committee and me in December and set the course for establishing a new vision for the City of Portland school systems. Some of the easier things that came out of that meeting was we need a balanced budget, we need to be accountable, we need to have a vision and mission. And lots of people dismiss vision and mission as, that's all that la-la land language that you put up in front of a door. But really, if you live through any organization, visions and missions are critical because they really do establish the foundation of our organization. So we listened to the people across the spectrum from the City of Portland. It wasn't just school leaders, it was business leaders, it was people who were living in poverty, it was students, it was staff. So we really focused in on some of the important issues. In terms of credibility and establishing Portland as a school system for the future, we did something that no other school system has ever done. We established a multi-year budget. We're starting to look into the future. It's not a crystal ball, it's not perfect, but what we're trying to do is be transparent with our accounting of where we want to take the school system. So if you look at a multi-year budget from last year, it's okay. As we move through 2 and 3 years of that, it'll become a really refined instrument, and quite honestly, that would be a model that the state of Maine should be using for educational funding. Let's not fund schools year to year, crisis to crisis. Let's fund them by looking to the needs of our students and looking into the future and making change happen purposefully and not through crisis. We talked about the Portland Public School Systems being one campus, and the issue around that was the big debate we had on a common high school schedule. And when we started that, we thought it was going to be the same schedule for the 3 high schools. We pulled together parents and students, teachers and administrators. In the end, what we came up with is a common framework, a much more palatable idea to the community, but still allowed us to capitalize on staff efficiency by sharing staff. We'll be doing that for the first time this school year. Example would be the Latin teacher at Portland High School. By the way, one of the most successful Latin programs in the state of Maine exists in Portland High School. 260 plus youngsters are taking Latin at Portland High School. There are more youngsters taking Latin in Portland High School than probably north of Augusta. It's just an amazing number of kids. We talked about a new change model in terms of leadership, central office reorganization. We are in the process of bringing on board a chief financial officer, a chief operations officer, a chief academic officer, and then the response has been, why would you do that? Accountability. Who is leading the system? Great teachers deserve great leadership. And that's really the mantra. And by the way, we're doing that right now for $100,000 less than we had in the old model. So it's about looking at how we do business. The central office model as I arrived was more like the Wizard of Oz. If you think about Dorothy and Toto walking up to the Y in the road and the scarecrow is hanging there and he hasn't spoken yet. And she says, "Oh no, Toto, which way do I go?" And the scarecrow says, "Well, you can go that way, or you can go that way." And that's pretty much what it felt like in that first several months, that we didn't have a real strong direction. The reason that is because we had bought into a leadership model of decentralized leadership, that site-based management was the way that Portland had decided to move. And as you go down that road, essentially what you had was 18 different school systems instead of one school system. And youngsters moving from one elementary school to another might actually get involved in a completely different math program. It just didn't make a lot of sense in terms of efficiency, nor did it make any sense educationally.